Welcome back to the Poinsette show. This is the B block where we get a little artsy today. Uh
All right.
yeah, Ado, you've been watching Atlanta at all?
I'm a little bit behind, but I've heard that the new season is fantastic. I might end up binging it, but I know that it's Atlanta, so it's usually rocking. What have I missed though?
Man, so try not to spoil too much, but yeah, this last episode, I'm just call it the YWA episode, the Young White Avatar episode, where short story is Paperboy is in this meeting with other hip hop veterans, and it's this basically like laying out how to succeed in the music industry today, and it's like find a YWA, young white avatar.
Yep.
So you could probably think of the parallels in the actual music industry.
Yep.
But I love that, and it also kind of I feel like it was emblematic of something that I've been noticing more recently, which is that it's like the cultural appropriation conversation is getting interesting again.
Definitely. Uh-huh.
It sounds weird to say, but it's just like you go on social media and it's just very you have these like very hack and remedial takes on cultural appropriation, or especially white people trying to be like, well, what about this? Well, what about the Wu-Tang Clan? But and then people arguing with them, and it's just like we know, but nothing interesting is happening here. But more recently, you have like Atlanta with this episode talking about YWAs, and you had a Issa Rae show rap. Sorry, Ada, for
That's all good. That's all good. It's the name of the show. We're chilling.
Exactly. So they did this. Yeah, they did this skit with one like this white rapper character doing "Not Atlanta," which it's funny because obviously like "Not Atlanta" was this big viral hit from like an actual artist, and they originally released it as like it was like a YouTube video or something, and the internet went crazy because they thought like this was an actual white girl just hijacking "Not Atlanta."
Yes.
You saw that, right?
Yes, I did, and I loved it. I thought it was a pretty genius play to kind of play off the whole white people in hip hop just jacking right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was a good moment to me.
Yeah, I thought, just when we talk about like rollouts and, marketing campaigns, kind of genius just to, one, just kind of like use people's, their reactions, like flip their reactions on themselves, get people hyped up. I thought it was pretty clever.
Right.
But then I think the biggest one was Effin Mecca, the AI rapper.
Yeah.
Like for those who aren't familiar, I forgot what the company's name is, but some tech bro company in Silicon Valley, they created this like ethnically ambiguous, rapper stereotype AI character. They got like actual artists to like do like the lyrics.
Yep.
But then they didn't pay him.
Yep.
Right. So
that was a great start to their little mission there.
Oh yeah. But no, this character, like I guess he had like one song, ironically with Gunna, that was like a hit. But we'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing that was I guess most notable about this character is just the social media antics. Like he'd be, he has a hibachi in the back of his car. It's foreign. He's got, he's doing all types, just shooting all types of guns and different like random videos.
Did you see the police brutality video?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was the best. He did a post on a social media post where he's getting beat up by a cop in jail. It was like police brutality. They're trying to get me to snitch, but I won't. It's the worst.
It was the absolute worst.
The absolute worst. But again, had like a hit song completely, the AI rapper hit song with Gunna, who, fun story, is actually in jail right now on RICO charges for, everything Effin Mecca was basically making fun of.
And it's crazy too. That's a case as well, where it's like, I believe when I last checked in, they actually did not have any, I think they just recently dropped Gunna's like assault charges, saying that like he didn't do any of the assault charges that he's attached to. So it's like a lot of the charges with Gunna specifically, because like he got arrested because like of his attachment to the group and like lyrics and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like, dang, like FN Mecca over here making fun of police brutality as the person that he just recently worked with is being treated terribly by the police system. It's very ironic.
And the thing that even wilder about FN Mecca is that for a brief moment, this AI character got signed to Capitol Records.
Yep.
And, you know, people, when that news came out, again, the internet kind of blew up. And because this was happening for a while, but it was when the character got signed that people were just like, no more. And, you know, thankfully Capitol Records pulled the deal.
They dropped. Thank God they dropped him.
You know, but still, it kind of brings up this question that we've been talking about, you know, just as like a culture for a while, where it's like, they love black art, but they don't love black people.
Bingo.
And you see these, you know, obviously like the conversation alluded to with white rappers. It's like, all right, we're going to have white rappers, you know, push out black artists. And is that going to happen? And I mean, we've seen this kind of like happen with various, I mean, a lot of, you know, any genre of American music really to varying degrees, you know. You look at like jazz or something, and, you know, Kenny G was really popular for a while, but also, you know, I would venture to say that, you know, the days of like Miles Davis and John Coltrane are, well, they're back in those days.
Yep.
For a lot of people, I don't want to discredit. There's a lot of really dope jazz artists out there, and there's really a lot of dope jazz music out there. But in terms of like its hold on the popular scene, it's a different time.
It's a very different time. And like, yeah, the jazz world is not what it looked like quite some time ago.
Then you could also look at like rock music, and, you know, obviously rock got taken by the whites, and rockers are doing well.
Rock really got gentrified, like fully.
You know, so it's a mixed bag. But that brings us back to hip hop, where, you know, if you're not like with this AI rapper thing, they're gonna keep doing it. This is a test run. Like, it failed, but they're gonna come out with another one. Clearly, they showed like there's a hit song already, so keep your eye out on that. But let's go back to white rappers for a minute. Let's go to cultural appropriation, because when I was watching, you know, the Atlanta episode, I think it was impossible not to think Jack Harlow.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Do you listen to Jack Harlow?
I have an interesting history with Jack Harlow. I found him way before any like huge fame moment in high school. And I remember he was like, never in my rotation deeply, but I remember like being like, oh, like this little white boy from Kentucky, he's doing his thing. He isn't like rapping about guns or gang violence or anything. Like, he's just kind of being him, doing him back then when he was like nerdy and had the glasses too. So it was like very much so like, this is a white boy doing white boy things. And then he got really famous, started hanging out with Drake, and it started looking a type of way. And now, as we see, Jack Harlow is attempting to be a light-skinned black man, and it's not my favorite look right now.
I mean, I can't say it just feels like from the outside looking in, and I say this knowing, you know, maybe this is just like an old man take. I definitely have old man ears when it comes to music, but it just feels like people are really trying to make Jack Harlow happen. And I didn't like know his history like that. So I was watching an interview on Hot 97 with DJ Drama, where, you know, actually to bring it back to the Atlanta episode, because again, not spoilers for the people. Sorry, but
Spoiler moment.
Yeah, they're at the Grammys and someone's asked about, this YWA that popped off, and it's like, Yodel Kid, that was you? And that was exactly the moment where because it made me think of that drama interview, because I didn't realize he was, involved and he was a big part in the Jack Harlow thing.
Yep.
And I was like, oh. And, it's not like, again, it's not like a new thing. Obviously, it's kind of, been the case, but I like what you said about, like, when you found Jack Harlow, he was just kind of like a white boy doing, his
White
thing.
boy
He wasn't
things.
trying to be someone else. Cause, we've seen, I think this kind of like highlights where we are now versus like past times where when we talk about like appropriation, it's very obvious or it's very like intentional and gross.
Right.
Versus like a thing where, we're in a space where people can be themselves, but there still becomes a conversation of, even when people are being themselves, are we pushing out Black artists?
Truly.
Because, we're in a market where most of the consumers are white people in America or globally, consumers, not just white people, but, especially like a lot of Asian markets, like European markets, and anti-Blackness is worldwide.
Going crazy.
Right. So, it's not, as opposed to the days of like Iggy Azalea, or you remember Slim Jesus?
Oh my God, do I remember Slim Jesus? Yes.
When Chief Keef first popped off, and then they had some white kid who looked like, an 11-year-old cosplaying as Eminem to be fake. Oh, good times. Good times.
A classic
But
moment.
No, we're in different times.
We're
Like,
in very different times.
I think about this being in Portland specifically because a joke I've constantly made is just like, if you give me like I don't know, a dream cypher draft or something where I get 4 MCs and a producer or something like that, right? And it's like, if we're just doing like white rappers and we're having white rappers battle it out across the country, I feel good with taking my Portland team many places. Like, I mean that seriously. Like, shout out. We got people here. Like, shout out to Milk. Slick Devious, Win, Only One. We got some white rappers who can really, really do it out
We've
here.
had quite a few white rappers pop out of here,
and they're like they're themselves, which is cool. But then you think about, like you said, like what happened with Jack Harlow when he blew up. Like, what is that? Not to say that, if anyone from here blew up, would it not?
The same thing happened.
Yeah, would we not see the same trajectory? And
I also like.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is no flack on anyone. I don't know any of these artists personally. I also just like Portland has had a lot of successful white artists pop out. And obviously that makes sense because it is Portland, Oregon.
Right.
But we also have a large abundance of Black artists. And it's just very like, darn.
I'll keep it real. I'm just like, I'm not gonna name any names specifically, but you see white rappers out here. You see, like, there's someone who was going viral the other week. And like, is this the next big thing? And like, oh my God, we got to make this white rapper happen and blow up. And then, I think about just some of the, some of the MCs specifically I know out here today that have been around for like, not even like the vets,
right?
Like even just like the last 10 years,
right?
And I'm like, you're calling this person again who has not even blown up yet, like, this person must be the GOAT. I've never seen anyone rap like this. And it's like, I've seen people who can rap like this, who they're also great songwriters. Like, it's not just like, oh, they spit a bunch of freestyles. Like, no, like, you got songwriters, people who've made like great album projects, doing all this work, and you find, a white person put some bars together and they love them. And like, again, there's no shame to white artists out here doing their thing.
Nah.
Like I don't know everyone I just named, but I've gotten to like meet some of them, hang out with some of them, genuinely cool people.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of another Northwest example. Again, someone who was doing his own thing, Macklemore.
The classic, yeah.
Like for all intents and purposes, Macklemore has stayed himself. Anyone I've talked to, because talk with people who worked in the industry in the Northwest, they know Macklemore from back when, and no one has anything like bad to say about him as a person.
Right.
But what happened? Like he blew up, and it wasn't his fault that the Grammys gave him the award over Kendrick.
Right.
But like pretty much like since then, he's become like he's like a punchline. And it's not
ruined
like
his career.
Yeah, it's not like his fault.
No.
But people are like, you're just watching random comedy stuff. Like people be like, oh, like Macklemore, snicker, snicker, snicker. And it's like, damn.
Right.
Again, for a guy who like, for most or most intents purposes, moves the right way, does his own thing. So again, we're in this interesting thing with like the cultural appropriation conversation where it's not even like, oh, we're trying to like jack styles anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still that. Like, let's be clear,
happening.
That's still very much happening. But it's beyond that. It's where it's like, okay, the game is opened up. People can be themselves. And is that something that, the wider audience, the specifically, not Black audience is going to say, okay, well, now we have the option of these people, or now that we have the option of more rappers, more rap personalities that look like us, we're just going to keep choosing them and then just kind of wean that out. But even then, again, we look at that like Macklemore example. We look at, people we've named. We look at, I guess the jury's still out on Jack Harlow, but it's like,
I mean,
these efforts to make it happen
keep on failing. I think the hopeful piece of all this, because I think like truly the issue is no longer in the hands of the artist. It's like, honestly, I'm going to commend someone who can play the game well enough to like, especially in hip hop, like if you can finesse your way in, wow, like you did it. You did something that a bunch of people want to try and do, and you somehow figured it out.
Right.
So it's like, cool. Like you made it that far. It is now in the hands of the consumers to decide your place. And I find it really funny because, for example, and this is what gives me hope in the hip hop area at least, is like, so you have someone like a Jack Harlow who, from like when he first blew up, it was like the Black community was really messing with him. Like I remember going through Twitter, reading comments and having like so many like Black tweets being like, oh, like Jack Harlow's like the one who can do it. Like we mess with Jack Harlow. The second his last album dropped, silence. And like hate to say it, but when the Grammy situation happened for Macklemore, like, again, this is no beef on Macklemore. Once that situation went down, it was done for Macklemore. Like once he took up too much space, it was over.
It's just not, even, you're talking about like LP, Mac Miller, Eminem, especially like talking about people who were, exceptional artists.
Yep.
Yeah. With Jack Harlow, it's just like, people keep trying to make this happen. And it's just like, I'm just bored. Right. I'm so bored.
I'm bored. It's not even the fact I'm not even like entertained in like a bad way. Like there's a bunch of white rappers on the internet. Like that small sect of white people who like Eminem have like a list of white rappers that are some of the most hilarious people in the game. And it's like, at least they can entertain me. Like with Jack, I'm just bored right now. Like you're not even entertaining anymore. You're just out here like being boring.
They're forcing it. Like, art sometimes, not everyone can, aspire to excellence and all that, but I don't know, just to bring it back to the cultural appropriation part, is like, it's when you see so much infrastructure, so much industry infrastructure trying to make this happen,
right,
while other artists exist, while other things are happening. You're just like, like this is it's yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe again, I have this like Northwest chip on my shoulder type thing where it's like, I could give this time to Amine. You could give this time to Gift to Gab. You know,
give it to the plethora. Like, there's so many. The amount of like, there's an artist from Seattle. His name is Highway, and to me, like, he's doing the whole like, he's really pushing the sound for the Pacific Northwest, and I think doing something different from what a lot of Pacific Northwest artists are doing. And it's like he's still in the underground, and I'm like, yo, like, can we, instead of giving all of this space to this white person? Because again, like, that's really the issue. When you give too much space to a white artist, it's like at a certain point, like, people don't want to hear them. Like, no one like in my black circle is like clamoring for Jack Harlow right now. No one cares. So I'm like, how about you give that space to someone else? Move him aside. And like, you know, like, give love to, I'm really excited about this artist Glorilla right now. Like, no one's like, not to say no one's giving her love, but it's like, she has pop star material. We don't need Jack Harlow on my screen. Give me Glorilla. Give me a Saweetie. Give me someone else who like deserves the space more.
Yeah, man. Like, I feel that's the perfect place to end it. Instead of, you know, it's like either gotta be the YWA or, God, what was that? There was a kid they were pushing for a minute. Lil Xan, that was the one. Where it's just like,
stop it.
You gotta stop. You can give this space to anything else.
Anyone else.
I mean, it was just funny. Like, I remember those like Hot 97 interviews with like Rosenberg and Ebro or Styles all being like visibly, you know, visibly irritated that they have to like irritate or interview this kid and do this conversation. Listen to some random white kid whose only personality trait is
Xanax.
I do Xannies. Talk about why he doesn't respect Tupac. And it's like,
and it's just like, yo.
Again, we'll see how the industry moves. I kind of, you know, at my space, I own that I have like old man ears, so my views on the industry or whatever they are, I might be stuck in 2006 forever. But
don't blame you.
It is hard not to see the economic impacts of this, and I think, you know, that episode of Atlanta made it, you know, interesting because when you talk about whether it's the characters in there, like the dramas and, you know, the people in real life who, you know, are behind this, so it's not like it's a just white. We get to be in the business now, but still, how does it play out? We'll see, I suppose.
We'll just have to see.
We'll see.